Our educational presenter then is Distinguished Toastmaster Brad Korbo. Brad has been a Toastmaster for over 35 years. He's a member of 3 clubs in Regina, Wascana Toastmasters, Wild Oats Toastmasters, and the BLT, which is B's leading team, Advanced Club. He is District 42's Club Extension Co-Chair. He told us tonight how he's helping us to become a chartered club. Brad has asked our timer, Sarah, if he could have the indicators green at 5 minutes, amber or yellow at 6 minutes, and red at 7 minutes. And if he's not finished at 7, just leave the red indicator on until he finishes. Today, Brad will be sharing what he has learned over the past 35 years about giving an effective evaluation. Brad has provided a handout that provides more evaluation tips and a copy of the icebreaker evaluation form, and those are in chat. You can refer to them when you need to, and you can also save them for future reference. Please help me welcome Distinguished Toastmaster Brad Korbo with Evaluate to Motivate.
All right. So how many here feel comfortable providing feedback to others? Could I get a show of hands? Or raise your hand, raise your pretend hand. So there's a couple that feel comfortable and probably a few that don't. In my presentation tonight, I'll be providing some tips and tricks on how to provide an effective evaluation. The evaluation is a key part or one of the 3 cornerstones of the Toastmasters program. You'll be wondering, well, what's in it for me? Why should I be concerned? Well, as Bev said earlier, one of your future projects will be learning how to provide an effective evaluation, and she will be calling on you after this presentation for future meetings when you feel comfortable to take on the role. Today, I'll provide you tips on what you do before the speech, during the speech, and after during your evaluation. So I'll start off with what you do before the speech. On the slide here, I have the front page of the evaluation form, the icebreaker evaluation form. All of them are fairly similar. They have, place for the name and the title and the project that the individuals are the evaluator and the person being evaluated. There's a purpose statement and notes for the evaluator. So that sometimes there, sometimes it isn't. And the purpose provides an idea of what's the objective for this particular project, so the evaluator can provide some feedback on that. And then there's some general comments. You comment on what you thought they excelled at, what you think they may want to work on, and what you may want to challenge them with for their future presentations. The second thing to do before the speech is check in with the speaker. Maybe they have something that they are working on. They received some feedback from their last evaluator and they're working that improvement into this next speech, and they want to see how that comes across. Well, that's fair for the speaker to ask you of that, and it's good that you could ask them just in case they're a little shy or they never really thought to ask for you to do that. The second page of the evaluation form has a place for you to rate for various characteristics, clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, comfort level, interest. And you have a scale of 1, which is developing, to 5, which is exemplary. For the icebreaker speech, I'll mention this later, what the details are for this, but accomplished would be somebody that has that skill under control. They're doing that particular well most of the time. If they're developing and you have an idea for improvement, I'd put a rating of 2 on it. If they're doing really well, a 4, maybe a 5. I rarely, for my own purposes, I rarely use a 1. So it's a very subjective rating. It's not hardcore. It's just a relative rating. So if, as the evaluator, understand it as that. As the speaker, understand it. It's a relative. Because even if you did an excellent job, if they rate you at a 3 or 4, that's fine. They're thinking that, yeah, you're doing a good job in that area. And there's room for little comments to help describe, say, especially if you're rating it at 2 or if you're rating it at 4 or 5. Help the speaker with something specific that they can take for their next speech. So to talk a little bit about the purpose statement for the icebreaker speech, it says that you're there to introduce yourself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. So do you have an opening, a body, and a conclusion? Did you tell us what you're going to tell us? Tell us, and tell us what you told us. And there's some notes for the evaluator. In this case, they suggest, because the icebreaker speech is their first speech, they may be really apprehensive about it, and not, they suggest, well, maybe not put the rating in there for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at this stage. Let them get that first speech out of the way. Let them realize that they're not going to die when they give the speech. And then next time, they can get a little bit more feedback. Now, what do you do second during the speech? Well, you want to focus on the project's evaluation criteria that you find in that form and any areas that the speaker identified to you. You also want to take notes. For me, if I didn't have the notes, I probably wouldn't remember much of what I was intending to comment on at the end of the speech. And don't have your head down making notes all the time, because you want to look at what the speaker's doing. How do they make use of their hands? Are they smiling during their presentation? Those are things that you have to observe. Now, during your evaluation, I recommend using I statements as opposed to you statements. So I statements focus on the behaviors of the individual. When you say you, it focuses on the person. It's something that either they did well or something, you did it wrong. And that's the only way, in my opinion, is 100% correct. When you say I, it's saying a lot. Statements like I saw that you used your 2 fingers for number 2, but maybe you didn't use it for the 3rd during your evaluation. There's some suggestions for the gestures, as opposed to saying you didn't use gestures in your presentation. It's a little harder or a little harsher, in my opinion. You want to highlight what the speaker did well and at least one area for improvement. So that's the biggest challenge when your first evaluation is, what is one thing? Doesn't matter what it is, you can find one thing that you can suggest to the person that they improve on. And it's important when you suggest something to provide an example. I recommend that when you're stating you have 3 points, that you use your fingers. I have 3 points today. The first point is, the second point is. So something specific the speaker can take away for next time. And make sure it's a mini speech, well organized. Tell us what you're going to tell us. Today in my evaluation, I'm going to provide 2 areas that I thought you did well and 1 area for improvement. Make eye contact as much as you can. You have to refer to your notes. You haven't had time to prepare, likely. So that would be the 2 areas to look at. Now, before your next evaluation, remember to review the evaluation form in advance. Ask the speaker if they have anything that they want you to watch out for. Use I statements as opposed to you statements, so that it comes across as your opinion, and present it as a mini speech with a definite opening, the body, conclusion. And provide a mix of praise and suggestions to improve. I usually suggest, what did you do well? 1 or 2 areas for improvement, and then conclude with an area that they did well. So like this is what we refer to as a sandwich approach. If you do this, you will have provided an effective evaluation and help that speaker to improve for their next time they have an opportunity to speak. Toastmaster Bev.